Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Metal Shop. Today, we are building a Floyd Rose. And I agree, this is not exactly rocket science here, but I wanted to go through each individual part and their cost, and are there any benefits to piecing together your own Floyd Rose a la carte, or is it better off just to buy one already built? So, first things first, our base plate here. Base plate comes with fine tuners and with the saddle screws for your intonation adjustment. All right. This one here, it's kind of in a opaque kind of a yellow. And I think that's because this one I purchased is like a brushed chrome finish. So I've polished it. I took it to a friend who runs a performance shop, and he's got a buffing wheel, and I polished this so that when we put it together, this is going to look more like a chrome piece. Chrome's not available right now in parts. They've sold out, I think, with the move to manufacturing in North Carolina. Anyway, base plate is $80 for chrome, $110 for black, $126 for gold. Okay. Saddles. Now, these saddles are some old saddles that I had of a really nice old Floyd Rose. I actually put Ghost piezo saddles onto the Floyd, installed that in a guitar, and I kept these saddles. So these are really nice vintage chrome saddles. But you can still buy a new set, and they come with the screws here, the adjustment screws, and the blocks as a complete set. And they will run you $80 for chrome, $84 for black, $97 for gold. Okay. Original block assembly. You can get the nickel-coated brass block, the standard Floyd Rose block. You can still pick these up, and they will cost you about $22. I'm going to install a brass big block here that I had on hand, and these will cost you more, $35, so on. So you do your due diligence there and shop and get the best price. The bigger ones, the L, obviously more brass, they cost more. The shorter ones, the 33 millimeter, 32 millimeter, is obviously going to cost you less. All right, the arm assembly. Now, I like this old school screw-in arm, but the arms are all pretty steadily priced across the board there. This arm assembly is $30, and a black one is going to cost you roughly $5 more. A gold one's going to cost you $10 more upon that. We have the screws to screw the block into the base plate, and I prefer the original screws. They're Allen head. They're just hardened steel. They're just nicer than all the aftermarket ones you get are Phillips, and they're just not as good. Anyway, block screws, $15, $5 a piece. You can probably get these at the hardware store, but I bought the real ones. Let's see. The spring tension shim, as it's like to be called, it's a reinforcing plate for the fine tuners, is $6 for this, and it's necessary. We've been over that. And your spring assembly is $14. So these two together are $20 as an assembly. So is it worth it? And you add everything up here, if you were to buy all of the parts in chrome, it's $247, okay? You can buy an entire chrome Floyd Rose assembly for $231.99. So not worth it. Buy the one that's already assembled, okay? Fine. Black parts, $284 for black parts. And you can buy list price for a black complete Floyd Rose assembly is approximately $247.99. Again, not worth it. Gold, curiously, all the parts in gold are roughly $310. But you can buy a Floyd Rose gold assembly in its entirety for $318.99. So that one does, the worm kind of turns there. It may be worth it to piece it together with parts. But again, those prices are all ballpark numbers that what I paid, what's available on eBay, on Reverb, and so on. Your prices may vary, you know. Again, do your shopping, do your homework, get the best price. You may be able to save money. Why am I doing it? I'm doing it for the purposes of this video, but I had the saddles. So I've had these for years, just hanging on the shelf. So I think these cost me money a long time ago, but basically they're free at this point. I had the block on hand. So for me, this was a no-brainer. This didn't really cost me that much at all. 80 bucks here, arm assembly 30 bucks, these parts here. You know, I'm into this thing for, you know, like $125, something like that, $130. All right, don't really need a lot of tools. Like I said, again, this is not rocket science, but if you're new to, this will help you to put one together, to take one apart, how to get it set up properly. I have these nice Allen drivers. You need a 3mm and you need a 2.5mm. Those are the only two sizes you need. You can get this nifty little trem tool that has the 3 and the 2.5. I prefer these. They're just that much easier. And if you're going at it with regular Allen wrenches like this, you're in for a tough time. That's a real pain. All right, so let's get everything out of these blister packs here, these annoying blister packs. You can see how nicely that buffed up. Saddles, we'll talk about those in a second. Really nice brass block. That happens to be a 42. Oh, the arm assembly. I lied. We are going to need one more tool for this particular arm assembly. If you use a standard screw-in bar with this assembly here, this will drive on with the 3mm Allen. Okay. This one here, you need, and I happen to have a couple of these nice wrenches. Floyd Rose, back in the day, used to give you these 11mm wrenches with the tremolo, which is really nice. This is just a really nice piece. But you are going to need, you can use an adjustable, but you are going to need 2 11s or one adjustable to put this on. So we'll set those aside. There are really nice Allens. There's our stiff spring stiffener plate there. Don't let anybody tell you that this sucks tone. Somebody from the FU Tone Camp put a video out years ago and saying that this was a tone sucker, and if you put a big block on, ditch this thing. You don't need it. You need it. It adds stiffness to the springs here that's quite necessary, just like that. That's what a difference it makes. I mean, Floyd could make this piece better, a little thicker, a little stiffer, just for sake of argument. This Kaler Steeler has much thicker and stiffer arms, spring arms here, and they don't use that shim at all. That's the way to go. Now that's an improvement that I would like to see. All right, your saddles. Now I kept these in order, in line, because, and I sound like a broken record, those of you who watch my channel will know, let's not mix these up, that these are graduated in height. Yeah, there's clear tape. I even put clear tape on the front of them. They are graduated in height to make your string radius. It is important that these stay in order. Now, all is not lost if you get them mixed up, because there are markings. There is a numbering system on the underside. Oh, this one has slash marks. Okay, they are visible with the naked eye, the difference. And these are really old. So your shortest block is going to be roughly 9mm in height. The next one here, so this one is a 9, this one is a 9. These two are 10s. these two are 11s. Again, it's visible with the naked eye. You can check them with a micrometer. Whoops. You can check them with a micrometer, and you're measuring this part here with the circle on it. That's the little hinge. That's the height that you're measuring right there, okay? And that one's the second one, that's a 10. If you don't have a micrometer, a little trick, because it's hard to measure this with a ruler, you know, you can take an adjustable and you can measure it with the adjustable, like so. And then it's a lot easier to take this adjustable mark here, put it up against your ruler, and figure out the width that you have. So a neat little trick there. I've double checked these. Again, these are neat. These have slash marks. Tough to see. One slash right there. That little line through there. One slash, two slashes, and the center has nothing. It's all over the map how they determine your height. Figure it out. Again, it can be seen with the naked eye. So like I said, figure it out. But it's important. So another tip is when you're lining these up, now you know, and I happen to have a completed Floyd over here, you know your setup is going to look like a set of stairs. 1, 2, 3, we're going up the stairs. 1, 2, 3, we're going up the stairs. Okay? What I like to do, and this will get you in the ballpark every single time, is your A saddle. We'll just put that one on just to show. Your A and your B with this intonation screw in the middle hole, they're going to be butted right up against that. That's just a good indicator of how to begin. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So what we need to do, anyway, the nomenclature, the Floyd Rose insignia, the size of the block is always going to face the front. It's going to face towards the neck of the guitar. That's just the way that's intended. The springs are drilled, the holes are drilled at an angle like that. So your springs will go like this, and that's a quick way to tell. Anyway, always faces towards the front. So first things first, it's a little dance that we need to do because you need to get all of these lined up, and it can be a bit of a pain. I like to use my 3mm like so. Let's get the first one started, and the other two will line up off of that. And again, that's the 3mm, and this is the same 3mm that adjusts the saddles here in the back and does your locking clamp. So simple, simple, simple. And you don't need to He-Man these. They're captured under there. They're going to have saddles on top of them. And these pieces are hardened steel, but they're not coated. And these pieces will rust. And a teeny tiny little bit of rust in there actually will help keep them in place forever. And I do like to use the right angle to tighten up a part like this, just to double, triple make sure. So yeah, we're getting just a tiny little bit out of there. So that's simple enough. Now we'll mess with those saddles. Okay, so we're ready to install the saddles. And we're going to start with the low E. We're going to install it loosely. Now be careful because, believe it or not, just your finger pressure and messing around in here, you can bend your spring fingers out of whack. So you just want to be careful with that and not twist those too much. All right, well these need, and this is where you need the 2.5. We're going to snug these down just a little bit because they're a little too loose. Okay, and this is your benchmark here. The A string, we're going to slide all the way up and snug that down. And this is how you want to get a basic setup. This is how you want your intonation screws set up. Middle screw, front screw, middle screw, front screw. And just as a point of emphasis here, I have never, ever used the back screws in 40 years of wrenching on Floyd Roses and playing guitars with them. I've never, ever used those. I've never seen them used. That, to me, would mean that your Floyd is completely placed in the wrong place on the guitar if you needed to use those back screws. So, our benchmark, with our B string all the way up, that means that our low E is going to be stepped back just a hair. You know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, maybe 3/32 of an inch, somewhere in that area. And we'll tighten both of those down, just like that set of stairs. And it will get you in the ballpark. Now our D string is going to be set a little bit further up. No, not that far. But a little bit. Again, about a 1/16 of an inch or so. And there's our first set of stairs. And move on to the G string here. Oop. There we go. And if you got a little bit of, if you're buying all new parts, you're not going to have to worry about this. But again, these don't have any coating on them. They will tend to rust. And again, I like to use just a little bit of 3-in-1 oil on an old toothbrush. And believe it or not, it just takes the rust right off. And good to go. Keeps your parts nice and clean and lubricated for the future. And again, our next benchmark is the B string, and that one with the intonation screw on the second post back, butted all the way up. And then we'll take our other two, our G and our high E, we'll take right off of that. Hope I'm staying in the frame here. Keep pulling this closer to myself to look at it. So that one's butted all the way up, 2.5. Tighten that one down. This one, I eyeballed it. It's a little bit further back. That's cool. It's a funny story that when Eddie Van Halen was going to Peavey, they were, you know, Jim DeCola was putting together some guitars for him, some prototypes, and grabbed a Floyd off of a guitar. They needed a Floyd and threw it on. And Jim did his quick setup on the guitar, quick stringing up and whatever, and it was in tune and intonated. And Eddie Van Halen was amazed. He said, "It's amazing." He said, "It doesn't need any adjustment." He's like, "It's a sign. That must be a sign." And Jim didn't say anything to Eddie at the time, but he's like, that had come off of playing guitar that was already intonated. So moving it to a new guitar really wasn't anything special. That's just a funny little thing. Guitar players are quirky, superstitious bunch. All right, and look, that is a thing of beauty. Your fine tuners are all, the threads are peened over. So what Floyd does is they insert your fine tuner all the way, and then they peen those threads with a punch or some type of claw tool or something so that they won't come out. They'll only back out so far. Interesting little side note here, the original bar assembly like this, I don't use it as it was intended, but what it was intended to do was, see these nylon bushings here. The bar was meant to be screwed in all the way into this assembly, and then the entire assembly was meant to be left just a little bit loose. I've got some schmutz in there. The entire assembly, this is keyed, this washer is keyed, there's a little nub on it, and there's a little cut down the threads. It'll only go on in one position. You need to find that. I tighten this down all the way. The slot in here, and I'm not sure what the slot is for, someone could probably tell me, goes to the bottom. You see it's not symmetrical. We'll use our 11s. Get this tightened up. Kind of a little fiddly. Careful not to damage your chrome finish here on the top. So this entire assembly is meant to be left slightly loose, whereas I'm tightening it completely tight. I use the bar to swing, but it's intended for the bar to be mounted and tightly so that there's no dead play whatsoever, and the swing is from the, I like to spin that a little bit, there we go. Oh. I don't mind that teeny tiny little bit of dead play. I don't mind that tiny little bit of dead play. The second you take your hand and touch it, it's gone, and I don't mind it. Some players absolutely despise the dead play. That's why everybody's going to these push-in arms. We have it. We have assembled a Floyd Rose from its parts. And this is nice. These saddles need to be cleaned up a little bit. They've been sitting in the, hanging on the shelf for too long with that little bit of packing tape on them. I'll just give a quick visual here and make sure that, yes, indeed, all of my saddles are graduated in height from low to high. Everything seems to be working properly. Yeah, so you got some parts laying around, then go ahead and buy the remainder of the parts that you need and assemble a Floyd for yourself. It's economical if you have a couple of parts already. Let's put these fine tuners down about, I like to set them up about halfway. There's roughly 17 or 18 turns, not complete revolutions. By a turn, I mean like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you go about 9 in, you're about halfway. And yeah, there we have it. 2.5 millimeter, 3 millimeter Allens, 11 millimeter wrench or an adjustable. And again, if you're using a push-in bar or the old collared style bar, your 3 millimeter will do that, and you don't even need these wrenches. Simple. Great project. You can do it yourself. So as always, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Truly do appreciate your support. I hope you found this useful. Building the Floyd Rose from scratch. But some useful info. If you want to take yours apart, put it back together, it needs to be cleaned. Again, little 3-in-1 oil on a toothbrush. Keep you in business for a long time. So as always, I truly appreciate your support. Please hit me up in the comments. Still reply to all of my comments, every single one. Keep it constructive. Subscribe to the channel, please, if you are new. And share the video. And, oh yeah, please, please, please give me that thumbs up. Really helps me out with the algorithm. Keeps my channel, keeps me going. Trying to put out one video a week, all right? Again, I always like to say it twice. Truly appreciate your support. Thank you for your time. Thanks for the view. Floyd Rose for the win. Build it.